Imperious Majesty appears to be in good spirits tonight.
Time will remedy that.
Really think we have a chance to defeat him in November?
Not defeat, Senator. Obliterate.
Those big blue eyes like you, Daddy, reminds me of you all the time. When he grows to be a man, I'll give him up to Uncle Sam, just like I did with your Daddy.
College sissy, and once again substitute action for elocution.
He kept us out of war.
Woodrow Wilson is the most incompetent, vacillating, insincere, and cowardly leader this nation has ever endured. He kept us out of war.
Wilson and his dynasty, his heirs and assigns, anybody who with bended knee has served his purposes must be driven from all control, from all influence upon the government of the United States.
While we watch a world in flames, we must not forget what is happening here at home under our very noses. Private initiative is being stifled. Business is being put into a straitjacket, all under this false claim that this is democracy. When, as a matter of fact, it is nothing but the blundering of a starry-eyed idealist.
Re-elect Woodrow Wilson! He kept us out of war!
A weak and imbecile man. The weakest I ever knew in a high place. If I wanted to paint a despot, a man perfectly regardless of every constitutional right of the people, I would paint his hideous form.
That's outrageous.
When he goes out of office next March, the whole country, except thieves, cowards, public plunderers, office holders, and traitors, will rejoice.
Woodrow, that's the last straw. You've got to do something about it. They've no right to say such things about you, even to win an election.
Oh, they weren't talking about me. That's what they said about Abraham Lincoln when he was running for re-election in 1864.
I understand Teddy Roosevelt says you're the most incompetent man to ever occupy the office, Woodrow. Worse even than Thomas Jefferson.
Frankly, I've been much more concerned with what our own side's been saying. All this prating about he kept us out of war.
Coffee?
No, thank you. As if I or anyone else can look into the future and see what is or is not to be. Any little German lieutenant can put us into the war tomorrow by some new outrage on the sea tonight.
Would you mind very much if you should be defeated?
Well, I don't suppose any man wants to see his policies repudiated.
I heard the betting in Wall Street closed at 10 to 8 against you, Father.
I hope you didn't take any of it.
No.
Governor.
Yes, Thomas?
Governor, the New York Times has just conceded the election to Mr. Hughes.
Well, it's only 9 o'clock. How can they be sure? They're still at the polls in the West.
Yes. Does seem a bit early. Coffee, Thomas?
Thank you, Governor.
However, the Times is generally right. In the meanwhile, I see no reason to despair. The government's not going to collapse just because I've been left at home. Hughes is an honest man and a very capable one.
As a matter of fact, his own party referred to him as Wilson with whiskers.
With whiskers.
Of course, my wife may feel the country's judgment's a bit warped.
I can only think that you'll be free from all this worry.
Waiting for election returns is like a hen sitting on a nest. Except that the hen uses better judgment than a politician. She never cackles until after she's laid the egg.
May we talk to Mr. Hughes?
The president has gone to bed. He left word that he was not to be disturbed.
Well, when the president wakes up, will you give him this and tell him you're not so sure he's president after all?
Thank you.
Well, Mr. President, we can do this all over again.
6 years old. Another 4 years. Another 4 years.
Congratulations, Mr. President. And the public's to be congratulated, too, for their good judgment.
Thank you.
I never gave up for 1 minute, Mr. President.
You didn't? Well, I did. I'd have sold out pretty cheaply election night.
Well, you just got through by the skin of your teeth in the Electoral College. But you polled 3 million more popular votes than in 1912, and that's not to be laughed at.
Why on earth any man should want a job like this for another 4 years is beyond me. But I confess I did want it.
Mr. President.
Baker?
Secretary?
Has the President retired?
Yes, sir.
Wake him, please. Tell him that Mr. Lansing, Secretary of State, His Excellency Count von Bernstorff, the German ambassador, are here, and that we must see him at once.
Will you wait in the East Room, sir?
Thank you. Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Lansing, Your Excellency. What is it, gentlemen?
Mr. President, I'm sorry to disturb you at such an hour, but Count von Bernstorff has just handed me another note from his government.
Yes?
Beginning tomorrow, Germany will resume its policy of unrestricted submarine warfare.
We have no other choice, Mr. President.
And will sink on sight and without warning any neutral vessel entering European waters.
With certain exceptions, of course.
Yes, I believe one American ship will be permitted to leave a designated port each week, provided it is properly lighted and marked.
We deeply regret the necessity of this decision, Mr. President. And we sincerely hope you will not permit it to interfere with your noble efforts to bring about peace with our enemies.
Sit down, sir.
We also have received indisputable proof within the last hour that the German government has been using our own State Department cables in an effort to foment trouble between this country and Mexico.
What?
With California, New Mexico, and parts of Texas as bait.
I deny any
The
such thing,
proof
Mr.
is overwhelming, Mr. President. There can be no doubt.
Count von Bernstorff. For more than 2 years, this government has exercised every restraint in its efforts to remain neutral in this conflict. But you and your military masters, apparently, are determined to deny us that right.
But I assure you, sir...
Every way we turn, we run into a blank wall of German cruelty and stupidity. Every time we think we've escaped, you blindly and deliberately block us with some new outrage.
Mr. President!
Sit down. Won't you